So, gentlemen, one side's white, one's blue. Who's going to call it? He's calling blue. I can see I'm in trouble now with this one. Okay, all right. Okay. You call blue, it's white, it's your choice. They choose to receive. You have your choice of ends. They choose this end. Okay, who's going to serve first? Which one of you? Cretu is going to serve first. Okay, Legaria is going to receive. 2-minute warm-up starts now.
So we're here back for this round of 16 doubles as the teams are just warming up. We're going to be probably experiencing some different points and different setups, and hopefully the players are a little bit more loose and comfortable than what we experienced earlier in the women's doubles. I know, Han, as a doubles player yourself, someone who enjoys the game, I know that you're looking forward to analyzing how these players are going to come out here. It is a round of 16s. Like I said earlier, we're moving pretty fast in a lot of these rounds. And Lindenwood and Texas Wesleyan fielding a lot of the doubles teams in this competition.
Yeah. Razvan, Cretu, and Jason Plog, Texas Wesleyan team. They're the 6th-seeded team. In my opinion, there's a big drop-off after the 6th team. They're sort of the last among the first-tier doubles teams that we have left in the field. I'm really interested to see how they do, especially with Razvan Cretu being such an experienced doubles player, great doubles player. I think by now, at this point in his career, much stronger in doubles than singles. Really expect a strong showing from them. Immediately you see Texas Wesleyan jumping out to a lead with Cretu's serve really working wonders and making a few really nice blocks to the open court.
And that's the one great thing about, the Texas Wesleyan program. They have that advantage of having some very experienced coaches and very experienced players, and they use a lot of strategy as far as who they're going to pair up together in these doubles matches. Obviously, they're relying on Razvan Cretu, the veteran, and his experience to lead the young Jason Plog here in this round of 16. They made it so far, advancing fairly easy against Sue and Lay of Duke University.
Razvan Cretu is really used to playing doubles with Yahao Zhang with Texas Wesleyan. Not too different of a style from Jason Plog, although Yahao Zhang is a much stronger forehand and a little bit of weaker backhand, but both primarily topspin attacking players. So Razvan Cretu's used to playing with these sorts of aggressive attacking players as a partner.
Well, you also notice here that the Lindenwood pairing, they're very active on the table. Great communicators right off to the start. We're early in game one, and they're already talking to each other and getting each other pumped up.
Yeah, they're down 4-0 to start the game, and 6 points in a row now. Up 6-4. It definitely started quickly. And both teams are lefty-righty, so there's no advantage for either team there.
And a nice misdeception inside-out forehand from Cretu as he catches his opponent off guard.
Been able to pick on Jason Plog's defense a little bit so far in this first game.
And they know that probably from any scouting reports that they received, they know who's the lesser experienced of the two. They know who they're going to have to exploit here in this match. And we now have a Texas Wesleyan coaching spotting. Actually, both coaches in the building.
Looked like the first bounce of that serve actually wasn't on the correct side of the table. Wasn't sure if the umpire spotted it. It's not something that a lot of umpires look for too much, but it's a little bit of a questionable serve.
And a noticeable difference here in this men's doubles match that they are not necessarily cat and mousing each other for the opening, but they're definitely playing a shorter, more controlled game until they actually get their shot.
Fewer direct errors off the serve and serve receive. Both teams making the other team, work for their points. It's a really tentative block from Morita.
Well, the ball's souped up with some heavy, heavy topspin. Even though it's soft, it's spinning a lot.
There's the experience of Cretu. Long kick serve there. A lot of these younger players aren't going to be expecting that at critical points of the match.
As the teams go to a quick towel timeout, we've got former NCTTA singles champion Mark Hazinski in the corner of Texas Wesleyan.
There's just a little bit of a loose serve from Legaria. Jumped on by Texas Wesleyan to end the first game. Texas Wesleyan takes the first game 11-9. And it's pretty common at the end of doubles games. Really difficult to keep that serve absolutely short. And if your opponent knows that and knows to look for the half long or long serve, then they have a good opportunity to attack.
Yeah, and this is the first time that these teams are going to be here in the show courts. The first time that these young competitors are out here in front of everyone. Do you think that any of that is in their head right now as they're playing this match, coming from the outer courts where they're kind of contained in a controlled environment, and now they're here with all the lights, camera, and action on them?
Really depends on the player. I don't think it's going to affect a player like Jason Plog too much, even though he is a newcomer. He participated in the national team trials just a little while back. He played at the U.S. Nationals, got to play some matches in the arena in the show court. He had a match against Danny Siemler at the Nationals where unfortunately he was up 3-0 and Danny Siemler came back. Huge comeback for Danny Siemler in that match, but he's been under that type of pressure. He's been in that situation, so I don't think it's going to affect him too much. I can't say the same for the other team, but judging from their play so far and how they've been quick out of the gate, getting each other pumped up, that type of activity really helps with the nerves. It's just pumping yourself up, and it certainly looks like they're, in the moment. They're not looking very tight. They certainly are playing relaxed. If not for a couple of just execution mistakes in the first game, things could have gone very differently.
Yeah, definitely could have gone either way. They were definitely excited to be in this match, not afraid of who they're up against, knowing that they're playing powerhouse Texas Wesleyan and all the experience on the other side of the table.
There's a little bit of a bad mistake from Razvan Cretu.
And that's exactly what Lindenwood wants to do. They want to be able to put Plog of Wesleyan back on his heels off the table.
Yeah, Plog is a great attacking player, and when he goes back into backhand with you, when he can get his forehand attack in on the first ball, really, really strong player. Really great, really good technique. The only issue for him is some of the finesse, serve return, blocking, defensive play. It's where you can get him a little bit.
And Lindenwood might be figuring that out. They're playing a very controlled topspin game, not going for too much off the opening ball.
Plog's getting a little bit flustered. Sometimes in doubles, your mistakes are even more frustrating because you can feel like you're letting your partner down, and that's where a good partnership can, keep each other up. Don't let each other get down about mistakes.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on you. You're putting pressure on yourself actually when you start thinking about, hey, I'm letting my partner down, I'm letting my team down, when you really should be trying to rely on their strength and pull from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lindenwood out to a comfortable lead here, 3-8 in game number 2.
I'm sure Lindenwood's feeling good right now, if not for that really poor start in game 1. They've really been the ones dictating the match.
Nice soft top backhand into Morita's backhand, jamming him up there from Cretu. Nice backhand back there from Plog as he's able to drive and jam up his opponent. He needed that point just to get himself back in this second game here. Lindenwood right back 10-5 as they lead Cretu to serve. And that's exactly what we saw some of in game number 1. Both teams kind of rallying for their shot, just keeping the ball in play, which was really smart on their part. And Lindenwood takes it. They take game number 2, 11-7.
Texas Wesleyan needs a plan to deal with how they're going to get around Jason Plog's defense. He's been really spotty with his blocking so far, and every time Lindenwood's been able to get the attack, Plog's been the one they've been attacking with that heavy spin, and he just hasn't been able to deal with it. So they need to come up with something right now. If he can't block it, he just needs to go for a counter loop, because that's what's killing them right now. Both teams are getting their fair share of openings, but the difference is every time the opening goes to Plog, he seems to be missing that first block.
Now, does that change a little bit, as we talked earlier in the first opening game, that Plog was going to be the one being more the aggressor? Do you think it changes a little bit? Maybe Cretu has to take more cuts now?
I think Cretu might want to take a little bit more risk with some of his blocking and some of his serve returns, but also, be a little bit more aggressive. Don't let the opponent make a strong opening. Sometimes if you can't drop the ball short, just push the ball as deep as possible. Jam the opponent in the body so when they loop, it's not a strong ball. Some of the things like that, because usually where Plog's having trouble is if Cretu thinks he can drop the ball short, the ball doesn't go quite short, the opponent can make a first spinny loop, and then Plog's in trouble. Other than that, I also think that Texas Wesleyan should be looking to play a little more topspin rallies, serve a little bit more topspin, get into the topspin rally. I think Plog's way more comfortable there than playing this kind of short game and first opening type game.
Yeah, Lindenwood's very comfortable with the short game, just throwing a lot of short balls. If they do open up with any topspin, it's not any attacking topspin, it's more of a very controlled soft loop.
Yeah, both of their players more of that style. They're comfortable doing this. Even though Texas Wesleyan's jumped out to this early lead, you gotta be careful with the type of game they're playing. And we can see Plog struggles a little bit more with the finesse game, the serve return, and the defense. It's a great inside-out forehand from Cretu.
We
Doesn't
talked
have to-
about that
yeah.
earlier.
Doesn't have to use a lot of power. Just uses his body to misdirect the opponent.
And Cretu knows he's an experienced player. He's been around the block probably twice here at college nationals and table tennis in the country in general. He knows what he's going to have to do here against this team. It's not like he hasn't seen this type of play before, and he's going to have to impart that type of knowledge onto his young teammate.
Yeah, I think Cretu took about 10 years off table tennis to try to run his own business out in Philadelphia. Then he still had eligibility left, so when he went back to finish his degree, now he's back in the collegiate ranks, but sort of the old guard.
Oh, unlucky bounce there off to the side. We call that an experience bounce, not so much luck, right?
And Cretu definitely being a little more aggressive on the serve return and the short ball, so that keep Lindenwood from attacking too comfortably.
And I think that's great because it takes allows his teammate to get back in this match a little bit, get himself composed together, maybe build a little bit more confidence. They have a nice, comfortable lead here in the third game.
I think Plog really should stop trying to make those forehand blocks because Lindenwood's strategy now is very clear. Every time you get a forehand spin opportunity, just heavy topspin to the forehand. At this point, Plog might be better just not a wild swing, but take a swing at a counter loop.
And there you have it from Legaria.
Strong forehand there.
The lefty there, jamming into the body of Plog.
Yeah, really strong forehand. And that's not really on Plog, that's more on his partner for giving such a weak return.
And again, you see it, Lindenwood going right into the body of Plog.
And that's a continuing problem Texas Wesleyan's going to have to solve as they move forward because other teams are going to be doing the exact same thing. So in those cases, Cretu's either got to decide, can I attack? Can I push short? If not, let's just push deep. Can't just give those, perfect medium type pushes to the other team for them to open. Otherwise, Plog's going to be in a world of hurt. Yeah, not just this match, but if they are able to progress.
A nice exchange there from the teams.
Yeah, that's much better rally. It's more of what Texas Wesleyan wants to do.
And Lindenwood still fighting. They're down 6-9, knowing that they don't want to give up any kind of momentum here to the Texas Wesleyan team. And we noticed earlier Cretu taking a little bit more offensive side of this match.
That's a better push from Cretu.
Very heavy,
Yeah, heavy
in the
and deep
corner
push.
underspin.
Yeah, heavy and deep push. Much better return. It's a great serve from Cretu to close out the third game, 11-6 for Texas Wesleyan.
Texas Wesleyan was much more comfortable in that second game. They take it 11-6. We're getting ready to go to a quick timeout. Once again, if you're just joining us, you're watching the men's round of 16 doubles, Lindenwood University versus Texas Wesleyan. I'm Joe Wells, and alongside me is Han Shao.
Serves 1-2. Morita is serving. You would serve to block. Are you going to serve? Yes. You would serve to block. 0-0.
Come on, rock, rock. Draw.
Game number 4 on the way. Morita serve. And uncharacteristic of the Lindenwood team, they're both off the table a little bit more, taking bigger swings.
There's that controlled topspin looping again. That's just been a huge problem. The more of those Lindenwood gets, seemingly the more points they win. I feel like at least half their points this match have come off the same play.
A nice block there from Plog, catching a team off guard probably.
Well, that's a faster loop that doesn't have as much spin. I feel like Plog is way more comfortable against that than a slow spin. He's having tons of problems blocking the slow spinny loops.
And a rare service error from Cretu. And that is the shot that you want to be able to take. He got on that ball early, took it at its highest point, and drove it to the open court.
Plog getting visibly frustrated. I don't think he's found a rhythm in this match.
Yeah, Plog's had moments where it looks like he could handle that, but that is definitely going to be the continuous play of Lindenwood so far, the way they've started the match with very controlled loops.
And his frustration's carrying over into his own serve now. Can't let the mistakes you've made in the match so far affect what you're doing in the future.
Yeah, they rolled in the third game without a problem. 11-7 in that game. Seems like Cretu took the offensive side, and right back now in fourth game.
Well,
It looks
game
like
just a little bit of a lack of focus. They've made a few service errors on their own, at least 2 that I've counted, and given Lindenwood a lot of easy attacking opportunities, which they've taken.
and Morita there with a lucky bounce off the forehand side. Another edge net ball. Lindenwood, quick lead here, 10-4 to try to go up, even this thing all at 2-all.
A couple of quick points for Texas Wesleyan. Saved 2 game points, 4 more game points for Lindenwood.
Razvan doing all that he can to keep his team in this match. Another heavy topspin forehand. It's difficult for that Texas Wesleyan team to control and keep that ball down. It is now even 2-all here in the round of 16. Lindenwood's got momentum going into their corner.
And it's so difficult to deal with those heavy topspin loops, especially off of underspin. Still think Texas Wesleyan needs to play more topspin rallies, start some more points with topspin, serve some no spin, serve some topspin, try to flip a few serves when they get the opportunity to, just get the point straight into the topspin rally, because off the topspin rally, I don't think Lindenwood will be able to get the same type of heavy topspin loops that they've been able to get that's giving Texas Wesleyan so much trouble. And going to a 5th and deciding game, the opening of the game is so important. Whichever team comes out more aggressive, gets more attacks, controls and dictates the pace of the game. it's going to be huge.
Well, we have to think that the way things are going so far, the rallies have definitely been in favor of Lindenwood. Anytime that the points are extended at all, controlled game is winning out.
And Plog with a backhand error there. Don't see too many of those from him.
Wow, that was a beautiful flip by Legaria that
And then a
Cretu
little
was
bit
able to
for
get back into the
lucky
table.
return.
Come on, 좋아. 좋아. Come on.
Lindenwood definitely the braver of the two teams so far this match and at the beginning of this 5th game.
And we haven't seen too many of those from Cretu, just winding up and wanting to take a big backhand. And obviously, if you haven't had the chance to take that shot too much today, timing's going to be a little off. And again, another big cut from Cretu.
Yeah, as long as Cretu gets in position, very good with his hands. Like there again, he's in position. It's where he doesn't get into position that he gets into trouble.
There's a towel break. Cretu takes 3 straight big cuts. What does that say to the Lindenwood team as they're here in this 5th and deciding game, saying that Cretu winding up taking these big shots on them?
Well, that's the experience that Cretu has. He knows that you need to be aggressive in the deciding game. You can't let the opponent have all the attacks. That's a better block from Plog, taking the ball early, being more assertive, not tentative on the block. Needs to take a little bit more risk like that.
And that's 3 straight points for Wesleyan. They lead Lindenwood 4-3 in the 5th and deciding game here of this round of 16. Plog had his chance. That was the shot that he wanted. It got up high enough on him. Had Legaria falling all the way off to the far right of the table.
No, he's just not moving his body forward into the ball. He's a little bit tentative, a little bit on his heels, letting the ball come to him, and that's not what you want to do when the ball has heavy topspin on it like that. Cretu as well, just not moving to the ball. It's so important when you're hitting those shots against heavy topspin to move forwards into the ball, to apply your own pace on the ball. Don't try to use whatever pace the opponent's put on it, because then you're at the mercy of their spin. It's a very difficult skill, but at this point it's about, do you have the courage to execute? Plog just a little bit tight, and you can tell that he's upset with himself.
And it appears that Lindenwood, that momentum's on their side. They're definitely staying with their game plan. Heavy underspin to open up the point, and then they start with the soft top, a very controlled game. There you go, and a very uncharacteristic counterattack from Legaria, excuse me.
Now, when he gets the opportunity, he can make those strong forehands. We've seen a few of them so far this match. If you give him the time, very consistent with that forehand loop.
Wesleyan takes a timeout. They trail 4-7. Very smart timeout by Coach Mark Hazinski, knowing that his team was rushing there. They missed 3 straight points when they changed the end of the table. They were taking their cuts.
Well, both players are just too tentative. They're taking their cuts. Well, it looks like they're taking their cuts. They're making forehand loops, but they're doing it too late. They're not taking the ball early. They're not putting a lot on the ball. Cretu hasn't been using his inside out. He hasn't been using any misdirection, just a very plain forehand loop, just keeping the ball on the table. And you see that in the men's game. Just because someone loops, doesn't mean it's necessarily a very aggressive shot. And that's what they're doing right now. I think both are playing a little bit too safe, especially this last run of points. That's better. That's better from both players, especially from Cretu, a very decisive forehand there.
He looked much more in position and balance when he took that forehand.
And he went for a little bit more pace. He drove the ball a little bit. It was a little bit flatter. You could tell it was a little bit riskier. But in the end, you can't just play consistent and hope the opponent's going to miss. It's an excellent flip from Legaria. Plog has been serving that inside out reverse pendulum topspin serve over and over again. You can't push that serve, you have to attack it. And you can't push that serve, you have to loop or you have to flip. You absolutely cannot push that. It's very difficult to drop. You can do it, but it's a very advanced technique.
Well, it was very strange to see it was the same serve, but two different choices to return it.
Yeah, I don't think Legaria read the spin. He was just guessing, okay, I flipped his topspin serve, he's probably going to change it up. You know, same serve.
And just like that, Wesleyan is back in this match, 7-8.
And Morita getting a little bit tight. Legaria has been playing really well, I have to say, the entire match. He's got to really step it up these last few points. Make some strong attacks.
At 8-all, I would probably call a timeout.
It's debatable whether you would, sometimes coach prefer to call it 8-7 when you still have the 1-point lead and the serve. Now you're in an unenviable position where, now a lot of coaches don't like this, calling a timeout on the opponent's serve. You know, calling a timeout on the opponent's serve, you don't really have the initiative. They can, you know, try to anticipate what you want to do and then maybe change up the serve, change the serve you haven't seen yet. You're not really fully prepared for everything they can do. Whereas when you call the timeout and you have the serve, you're in full control over how the point starts. So a little bit questionable on the timing of the timeout. If you know, if they weren't sure what they want to do, 8-7 would have been the perfect time. You lost your 3-point lead down to a 1-point lead. So this is a little bit of probably inexperience. Also, they don't seem to have a coach present, so it's up to the players themselves. And sometimes you don't realize what's going on in the match until you're tied up, and then now you start feeling a little bit tight. All right, let's call a timeout. But it's not necessarily the best timing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here as Lindenwood gives away that 3-point lead. We've got a very young team with a very new coach on their bench. Chance Key is new to this Lindenwood program, formerly as a volunteer assistant, I believe, but now he's at the helm of everything, and he's got to get his guys right back in the thing.
Calling a timeout on Cretu's serve especially, because he has so many different serves, so much variety, so many things he can do. Plog tightens up on another backhand. There's a good serve, good opportunity to attack on the return. And doubles, sometimes you want to use your forehand on that because it's less likely that you're going to tense up. You use more body, so it's a more controlled shot.
That's definitely the game that Lindenwood wants to play. They want to be able to control that return of serve and put it in the hands of the young Jason Plog and see what he can do with it. They're willing to take their chances with Plog
definitely
being the one to have to take the offense. And there it is, you talked about it, the experience of Cretu taking a controlled inside-out forehand, misdirecting his team. No one was in sight on that ball.
Yeah, that was absolutely the perfect shot in that situation, not too much risk. Morita's been having trouble keeping the serve short. A little bit of a lucky break there. Cretu missing the backhand opening. Morita finally keeping a serve short because Plog's been attacking a lot of them. So it's really difficult, when you're down match point to be able to make a short serve, as simple as it sounds.
And really didn't expect to see that shot from Cretu there as he took that backhand to the open court.
Yeah, maybe smelling match point and smelling the victory, went for a little bit too much. That's a shot that the old Razvan Cretu was a staple of his game, but with the equipment changes and with him getting older and not practicing as much, very difficult to execute.
There it is, another controlled flip to the open court from Legaria of Lindenwood. Very smart shot. We've seen him do that throughout this match here.
Yeah, and Cretu not real quick to move to the open court. It's probably his biggest weakness is the footwork. Really good hands, but he hasn't been able to get to that flip to the wide forehand yet.
Lindenwood has a match point. Been warned by umpire Linda Leaf about too much time in between the points. if Wesleyan ever needed Plog to come up with a block, they got it from him there.
And you got to question the placement a little bit. His forehand blocks looked shakier and a little too much pace on that loop. Again, you know, team's starting to smell the victory and going for, you know, not necessarily the right shot for the situation.
And there it is, Lindenwood right back to what they do well.
That's just excellent play from Legaria, that whole point. He blocked Jason Plog's very good opening, very good spinny opening, great block to the wide backhand. And then the next shot that he got to hit to Razvan Cretu wide to the forehand.
And this would be somewhat of an upset as the Lindenwood team is a 9 seed, and earlier you talked about that gap between the seeds, and there it is.
And another really smart point from Legaria wide to Razvan Cretu's forehand on that block. And Lindenwood University's team upsets Texas Wesleyan. This is the B team, if you will, of Texas Wesleyan, their second doubles pair, but still a very strong doubles pair, the 6th seed in the tournament going down.